Broadcasting live in downtown Oakland.
I'm David Hollander, and you're listening to Protect Your Assets. Over the last 20 years, I've met many people dissatisfied with the lack of value and personal attention their financial advisor provides them. At Liberty Group, we personalize every aspect of our client's retirement and financial plan with estate law, wealth management, and tax planning all under one roof. Call today to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Live from Road Atlanta, we say welcome to Tuesday Night Racing on RaceSpotTV for round number 1 of the Real Racers Virtual Club in their fall season, presented by Liberty Group. Hello and welcome, one and all. My name is Nola Rempo. I've got Sumil Aurora beside me in the commentary box for tonight's season opener. Paducah Louise down behind the cameras for tonight's race. You join us at this beautiful 2.5-mile, 4-kilometer facility just off of Highway 53 in Brownston, Georgia. Road Atlanta, a track with so much history behind it, what with the Petit Le Mans being an annual event to this very day. And honestly, Sumil, we were just talking about this before the broadcast, but we would both agree, one of the best racing facilities in all of North America.
100% Nolan. This circuit is just all of fun, and we often end up missing fun in all our racing in the midst of all the competition. And at Road Atlanta, you get a ton of that. You can just drive around and have a ton of fun, while racing, it just becomes even better. And here with the Pro Mazda cars, I think it could be a ton of fun right here. We could be seeing a lot of side-by-side action all the way through.
The last time we broadcasted the Real Racers Virtual Club in their spring season, we kind of came in mid-season, just at the start of the second half to their season. This time, though, we're going to be going through the entire season with this group of drivers, and it's bound to be a fun one as well. 11 weeks set to come racing for us. Started that off at Road Atlanta before we swing on over to Lime Rock Park. Watkins Glen follows it up before we swing overseas for the first time to Oulton Park. Phillip Island picks up 5th with Red Bull Ring having its own doubleheader event. 2 weeks in a row to lock out the first half of the season and start off the second half. Back to Silverstone, once again the legacy version, though a bit shorter this time than the Grand Prix layout, using the national layout. Sonoma, Laguna Seca, and Road America, 3 other great American tracks to round out the 11-week season for the Real Racers Virtual Club, presented by Media Group, Liberty Group, for the fall season. It's going to be a good one, Sumil. 11 weeks of racing, I have a feeling we're in for one heck of a show.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I love the choice of circuits around as well. All of them having one common factor. They're tons of fun to race around, and you've got tons of space as well. Well, Phillip Island might be an outlier for that one, but otherwise you can constantly go wheel to wheel. And when you come in for a series like that one, when you're in for some Tuesday night racing, that is exactly what you need.
You talk about a lot of these tracks being tracks that, you know, are great to have on the schedule, and there's a reason why they're around. It's because they were all here throughout the first season. The only track that was not present, in fact, or at least the venue that wasn't present, was, of course, the Red Bull Ring. This is a new addition to iRacing that was added on since that season began, and they intend to make full use of them by having that doubleheader event. The drivers are the same. Much of the schedule is the same. In fact, the 2 biggest changes we see here coming into tonight's season opener, Sumo, one is the car change. You notice it is the Pro Mazda we're running, but not the Indy Pro 2000 Pro Mazda 18 like we're used to seeing recently in the iRacing Indy Pro 2000 Championship. It's the old one, the legacy Pro Mazda. That and standing starts. It's a fun combination that can only mean one good thing: exciting racing.
Oh, 100%. This one is just going to change up the mix completely, because the old Pro Mazda, I think it rekindles some really good old memories. Right? It's been a while since anyone has raced this competitively, and even iRacing doesn't organize official series with these cars. So many of the drivers will just have to get back into the flow of racing this beast right here. Well, it might be a relatively tinier beast. It might be not that ferocious, but when you come to driving it, it can just put such a big smile on your face. And plus, standing starts, Nolan, that's such a good point. That could just really upset the apple cart like this off half spin right there. That was a good save.
It certainly was, and showing the expertise that these drivers have behind the wheel, which actually brings us nicely into another point that, you know, we haven't really touched on too much yet. It's called the Real Racers Virtual Club for a reason. Every driver in this field has real racing experience, whether that be racing 1969 Datsun 510s or their own Pro Mazda, safety the likes of Rick Sheldon. It's a fun thing to take a look at. You got Stephen Wilson, an Indy 500 driver who did compete and unfortunately had a pit road incident in the 2021 Indy 500. Don't forget John Showerman as well, an LMP3 racer in the European Le Mans Cup, racing in the Endurance Series over there. Nolan Siegel racing in USF 2000 on the road to Indy Ladder, along with the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge in an Audi RGT4, as well as a Formula 3 championship in the 2018 Sim Raceway Series. So you got a lot of guys in here, some young, some old, but all of them have got a lot of experience behind the wheel, which honestly makes this even funner to watch.
I think this really helps out with the racecraft, right? When they're going wheel to wheel with each other, they know exactly what to do, and that's because of the fear you have in real life. If you crash with each other in real life, of course, there's ton more consequences, right? And once you bring that attitude to the world of sim racing, I think it just improves the racing, because drivers, well, they may not be willing to go as deep into a corner as they would if you are a normal sim racing driver. But here, at least you respect the other driver, you respect their space, and as a result, the racing sometimes can be so beautiful to watch.
Qualifying just getting underway while drivers are on their out laps. Want to give a quick shout out to the guys that help to keep the lights on here at the Real Racers Virtual Club. We'll start things off with this season's title sponsor, Liberty Group LLC. They believe that everybody should be able to live the retirement they have always wanted. Their team of professionals can help you to create a well thought out strategy using a variety of investments and insurance products and services to help you address your financial needs and concerns. Shout outs as well to the Stephen Wilson Racing Academy. They exist to assist their clients on their motorsport journey. Spora utilizes 20 plus years in the sport with advanced coaching techniques, track and car knowledge, and widespread international industry connections to help their clients progress to any level imaginable. Whether you're new to driving on track or an experienced amateur racer, they can help you develop driving skills that will enable you to climb through the Ferrari Challenge ranks, win races in Ferrari Challenge, advance to compete in Pro-Am racing, and one day possibly iconic races such as the Daytona 24 or the Le Mans 24-hour. In fact, one of the drivers that racing with us today did have some significant success out there in the Ferrari Challenge. Jeremy Clark won two Ferrari Challenge Series in the Copa Shell division just recently, Indianapolis Motor Speed. We'll get into that in a little bit. Qualifying presently underway from Road Atlanta.
And now it's all about dialing in those big laps right here, just getting the flow at Road Atlanta. And it's such an amazing thing to do, right? If you ask any driver, what do you want to do on a fun Tuesday night? They'll say, well, I'll just go in there and hammer a few qualifying laps at Road Atlanta. And that is exactly what we're up for right now, Loden. It's a 15-minute session, this one. And for the drivers right here, it's just all about finding that rhythm. And if they can't, well, starting from the back, well, it may not be the worst thing in the world, Nolan, after all.
Anders Krohn was the first driver out there in a very striking livery. I tell you what, you're not going to be able to mistake who Anders Krohn is out there on the track in the number 47 machines. A lot of these drivers out here right now, so we'll just have a little bit of fun on a Tuesday night. That's what this series is all about. It's not in the competitive nature, it's in having the fun of it. And that is exactly what you can tell Krohn is doing right now, currently on his first flying lap. Open qualifying does mean it's a 15-minute group session, so draft could play into a big factor in the run-up to the turn 10 chicane.
And I'm intrigued that Anders hasn't quite waited for somebody, hasn't quite got a drafting buddy for that one. But hey, if you can go out there and put a good qualifying lap in style, why not? And he's got some livery to back it up as well.
A 118.268 for Anders Krohn. There's a big gaggle of cars coming around across the start-finish line now. Looks like Max Butler logs in P2 with a 118.672 for now. A lot of drivers kind of arguing down on tracks, so to speak, about who wanted to be at the head of the train and who wanted to be given the tow to other drivers. Oh, one driver way off in turn two. Kurt Penzager having a bit of an off-track excursion through the top part of the hill. Showing why Road Atlanta, always a difficult track, especially in a car like this. I was telling you as well, right before this broadcast, Subil, lift-off oversteer. Very, very big problem with these old Pro Mazdas. Not very heavy at all, only 240 horsepower, weighing in at just 1,090 pounds.
This car is so nimble. When it bottoms out, it really does bottom out. And the lift-off oversteer, clearly evident in the way the drivers are driving. And that's in qualifying. That's when the pressure and the heat is really on them to put their best lap possible. Imagine this in the race. Imagine when you've got the pressure of getting a good podium right there. In that case, you could be just more susceptible to that.
Just went a bit too deep into turn number 3 and skirted off over into the club chicane layout. Luckily manages to rejoin without too much issues, though I do believe may have given Joe Butler a little bit of a scare. Max Butler going to come across the line, logging a 118.089. That will put him on pole position for now.
That's a good one right there from Butler, putting in quite a gap between himself and Krone. And that could come down a little bit because we've got tons of time. And look at that. Just look at the commitment we've got on offer here today. My word.
Open qualifying is always such an amazing sight to see. It's the fastest point that the cars are going over the course of the day, and everybody's trying to push the car to the absolute limits. There is no conserving. It's these 1 or 2 lap sprints before you reset back, get a fresh set of rubber, and try it again. Here's Matthew Escajeda, defending champion coming into the night, currently sitting P10 in qualifying, just over a second off of Max Butler's time. Escajeda won the spring season by just 4 points, so he has got to try to maybe improve a little bit if he wants to go out there and defend his crown.
Yeah, exactly. With everyone coming in stronger, everyone having a good break, of course, in this championship as well. There might be many drivers refreshed, many drivers looking to go out there and attack a little bit. And case in point, Anders Krone, second lap, he's gone faster. He has taken provisional pole position already.
So Krone back up for the second time today, set the benchmark time, and he'll lock it out with another one, a 118.064, but that is still a 1/10 of a second slower than his fastest practice time, which is a 117.963. So Krone is still just about actually exactly 1/10 of a second off of his fastest practice time. He'll likely be trying to improve. Here's Escajeda just trying to throw his way up and over the line, a 118. Looks like for Wade Michael as he crossed the line. Escajeda going to log one of his second laps on the day, a 118.972. That puts him up to, looks like that's the 8th position now.
Yeah, it's not turning out to be quite good for Escajeda so far right now. He's just, I think, just dialing it in on it. He's just getting a hang of the circuit for now. And maybe when we get to the later parts of the circuit, he can go like his number, go like 007, go like the wind in a way. And that could be coming in a few minutes. It helps that it's a 15-minute session, right? Just lets you settle into it and then hammer in those big laps later on.
It is worth noting as well that Escajeda could be struggling a little bit with these machines. Of course, these cars having significantly less downforce than the Dallara F3s these guys are used to last year. So it's a new car they're trying to adjust to. Have to see what they'll be able to make of this over the course of the season. Robert McGuinness just went through on one of his out laps, I believe. Battery had his last lap invalidated, could not log a time in the number 8 machine. Looks like that might have actually just been an outlap there for Robert McGuinness. Currently sitting 4th place, a 118.348. That's just about 0.3 of a second, just under that behind Anders Krone up on pole.
Pretty decent. You can see that there are a few gaps coming up in qualifying so far. There are drivers who are not quite able to match each other's pace, but then again, it is just a fun thing right here, just for them to have fun in qualifying. And maybe in the races you can see that difference, because maintaining it over a course of a race distance is going to be quite hard. It's quite hard to dial in those qualifying laps over 25 minutes. Largely it's not down to who's the fastest, but who can maintain their lap times and be the most consistent over that period. In the end, that matters.
Taking a ride on board with Nicholas Leo, presently trundling down the back straightaway, coming up towards that turn 10 chicane. Looks like further in the back there might have been an incident with Dave Anderson and Wade Michael, both drivers taking small spins to the exit of turn 5 to have both of their present laps invalidated. Down the hill into the very difficult braking zone. We saw a couple of people struggling on entry here through practice to this chicane, just looping the back end before they could get it turned back to the right.
It is such a tricky one, this one at the chicane finally here. And even when you're going side by side, you've always got to just anticipate it. Where is the other car? Where is my marker? It is such a crazy corner. And the satisfaction when you get it correctly, oh my word. This corner really, the chicanes are exactly what make Roadlander what it really is. A fun circuit where you can just go all out and have a good time. 10A, 10B is amazing.
so far, 12 of the 13 drivers have gone out and logged qualifying times. The only driver that has not logged time is actually a driver who is going to be making his first start as well, I believe, with the Real Races Virtual Club. Jason Chang, a driver who we didn't see last season in the spring season, at least all throughout the second half that we were covering. Currently in the session, but has opted to not make a qualifying time. Now, I have a feeling what he might be trying to do here, Silmil, is maybe wait a little bit later for the other drivers to get the rubber down, let the track speed up a bit and come to him.
That could be a good idea as well, but that puts you on a little bit of pressure towards the very end to go out there and deliver a lap time. When you can do it over a 15-minute period, you've got ample of space, you've got ample of time. If one lap doesn't work out, it's totally okay. You can come back and put another one. But when you're confining yourself to that final period, I think it could be a little bit of a pressure situation where you've got to deliver with only 1 or 2 laps. And that can just make it a little bit less fun in a way. If you don't nail it, of course.
How about Robert McGinnis improving up to the 3rd position, just under a 1/10 of a second behind Anders Krohn at the moment, and still trying to put the hammer down and see if they can run down that number 47 machine. Of course, it should be an interesting race to see if Anders Krohn will be starting out there in front. He's a guy that, of course, was looking to improve big time. Looks like he is getting ready to do just that here in the season opener from Road Atlanta.
Indeed he is, and time is on his side. This could be interesting, and just the gaps at the top right now, it's just outstanding. How close are we in the top 3? It's barely a 1/10 of a second. Can you imagine what good that could be like in the race when all 3 of them could be in there? Then of course you add the likes of Clark and Ball as well into the mix.
Then, of course, don't forget the standing starts, which brings a whole new set of challenges. Last year, of course, we were running rolling starts, which in most cases actually allows the people to get single filed out before turn 1. Not the case with the standing start. You're not, for one thing, off speed already going into turn 1, so you have to kind of readjust your braking point. One other thing you have to be very careful for, especially in these cars, though, is do not stall. It is very, it takes a while, shall we say, to get these cars fired up if you happen to stall. And if you're at the front of the grid, that's the one thing you don't want to do. Now, a lot of these drivers, of course, have more than enough experience that they'll be able to not have to worry about it. So it'll be an easy run for them. And you've probably noticed the gap on the left side between the top 3 has just grown exponentially because Anders Krohn just beat his best practice time, a 1:17.830 for Krohn.
And you can just look at the way Krohn is driving right now in that pink car in the background right there. You can see the pace difference. The way Krohn will be attacking all the corners is such an evident factor right here. And man, Krohn is just going out there and topping his times. That is what I mean by having 15 minutes to go out there and put your bed qualifying lap times. You can just keep on improving and improving and improving until you get that big one. And I get a feeling this might not be Krohn's fastest one after all. Maybe he's got more left in the tank.
Utilizing all the draft on the back of Max Butler. Going to pull out to the left side of the run down to the braking zone. Will this be enough to maybe still improve on his lap time? Butler tried to fight him around the outside line and did not want him to improve through Tembido and up over the crest turn 11 where the back end gets light. And Anders Krohn bails out, goes down to pit road, leaving Max Butler all by his lonesome. That has sabotaged Max Butler's lap in the process, though.
Exactly, and now Max Butler does not get any draft from anyone as well. So essentially, Krohn, by just taking off a bit earlier, by going off into the pit lane a bit earlier than expected, he's actually made sure that Butler does not get any slipstreaming. And look at this, Butler trying a bit too hard to push the limits, and that means a bit of lawn mowing going on right here.
Left side damage on that front wing from Max Butler. He will have to come down to pit road. That's going to be enough damage that it will be infecting that small little Pro Mazda. He's going to have to come down and get that fixed, or he's not going to be able to really get another time. And he would have to come down there in a hurry, though, where you only have 2 minutes left. So if he does not get back to start-finish line within 2 minutes, he's not going to be able to get that second lap in that he needs.
I think it's going to be a bit of a tricky one. Just getting up there in time and then making sure that the tires are in the right temperature and bashing a lap in. I don't think they've got more left in the tank right now. So I think it could just be Krohn in pole position if, of course, McGinnis could not pull anything out right there.
Taking a look back at McGinnis at the moment. Oh, too wide through turn 10B. That will no doubt be that good old off-track 1X. Which will invalidate his current lap time, I would anticipate, across the line. In fact, it doesn't, though. A 118.391 log for McGinnis. while that's not enough to improve, it's good that he didn't have that lap validated. I do believe we'll have 2 more laps that he'll be able to get in here if he doesn't really botch this lap up here, but too wide through turn 3 now, and that compromises the entirety of this hill.
Man, that just does not help. You can see, right? You can see what happens when you do that. And that just means that it's such a good reminder for the drivers in the race. If you go too wide, you're just losing time to everyone else. It might be fun, but when you're catching up, that might not be the wisest idea. But for good learning for them right away.
A lot of drivers out there now starting their final laps of qualifying. The likes of Zach Hudson, Kurt Panzager, and more already on their final laps. McGinnis and Joe Butler, I think, will still have time to get one more in. Maybe Dave Anderson as well, if he can really get the hammer down.
It's about time, right? This is the moment we've got to get everything on in and just dialed into perfection. The final qualifying lap. Well, the pressure is not that much on. If this were a competitive series, it really would be. But for them, it's always a bit of bragging rights. Always a bit of bragging rights to go up there and say, right, I was the one with the fastest lap time of all else on a 1-lap pace basis. Can McGinnis get it this time? Unlikely.
Max Butler will be the first driver who will have his clock expire at the buzzer. So we'll have to see if Max Butler can improve from the number 2 position. He has a quarter of a second to make up. Currently logged in with a 1:18.089. Can he improve? He does not get to log a lap. Nicholas Leo goes with a 1:18.754. Does not improve as well. Matthew Escajeda, the defending champion, now over the top of the hill, trying to see if he can pick up another spot, maybe from 10th. And no time logged for Escajeda as well.
So the defending champion will really in a spot of worry right now. Second down to all the others. Perhaps the change of car not really benefiting him anymore.
Robert McGinnis just botched his lap. You saw him at the moment now just weave across the track as he had his whole lap just botched in turn 7. Hudson does not improve, and that leaves McGinnis behind with Joe Butler and Dave Anderson, the last drivers that'll be out there to set reasonable times that might be able to get himself out there. Robert McGinnis, we already know, is not going to be able to have a run here, and he's too deep anyway to the turn 10 chicane. Has to be careful, though. Watch out for Joe Butler's diving his way through turn 10B. Too wide onto the grass where Butler will no doubt get his lap invalidated as he thunders down the hill, runs down Robert McGinnis and crosses the line. No improvement for Joe Butler, and for Dave Anderson, likewise. So things sit as they are. Nobody managing to get an improvement as the clock expires.
Interesting then, and Anders Krohn, well, he's already established dominance as we see Butler having a bit of a spin in the pit lane. My word, 2.5 tenths of a second is a good one, but Escajeda, really, that's been the surprising part for me, Nolan.
Before we go down to the starting grid here for the Real Races Virtual Club Season 3, presented by Liberty Group, want to just give one more shout out to a sponsor we did not get to kind of talk about before qualifying began. Merit Partners, they're, of course, a high-end boutique car dealership specializing in Porsche and Ferrari. With an extensive network of private clients, Merit curates rare and exotic cars for the purpose of buying, selling, and creating investment portfolios. Their focus is to build long-term relationships over time, choosing to have a narrow focus and going deeper with clients. Additionally, they offer a wide range of peripheral services for clients, including car storage, detailing, specialty parts, and paint protection film. About time to go racing here. Let's take a rundown through your starting grid here for the season opener. Anders Krohn on pole. Max Butler lining up beside him on the front row. Robert McGinnis is in third with Jackson Ball in fourth. Jeremy Clark fifth. Wayne Michael down in sixth to round out the first half of the field, Sumil.
Indeed, and then of course we've got Zach Hudson, Nicholas Leo, Joe Butler and Matthew Escajeda. And Escajeda, of course, the surprising part, seeing the defending champion in 10th, and Dave Anderson is in 11th with Kurt Panzagrau in 12th. I hope I've got that correctly, but yes indeed, a 12-car grid for this one, Nolan. 12 might be a bit less on paper, but seriously, the racing, when it's that intense, I don't think the numbers matter that much.
Still waiting on Dave Anderson to grid on up with his number 62, and we're still waiting to see as well if Jason Chang is going to be joining us on the grid. Did not set a qualifying lap at the end of the day, the only driver not to do so. So Anders Krohn, it'll be the Krohn show up in front in the number 47 Hello Kitty machine. Neon pink. You really can't miss it, especially with the sea of more yellow and black cars lining up behind.
A bit of a crazy one, isn't it? As you rightly said, you never can't miss the Hello Kitty one. I think pink is a bit of an underused color in the world of motorsport, but this is just striking. And the old Team Penske livery, my word, it's such a treat on the eye, this one.
It certainly is. You cannot go wrong with some of the Penske cars. They do have some mighty fine schemes out there on a lot of their machines out there. Just 15 seconds, and then we're going to be getting set to go racing here for the season opener for the Real Racers Virtual Club, presented by a Liberty Group here at Road Atlanta. 5 seconds now on the clock. Jason Chang will not be able to join us, so a 12-car field gets set to go racing here at Road Atlanta. And so the revs start to build. And the lights are out. We're underway for Season 3 of the Real Racers Virtual Club. It's not the best of getaways for Anders Krohn. It's a great getaway from McGinnis, though. Going up to second. Getting past Max Butler, the run down to turn number 1. Single file, and now double file further down the field. 3 wide now as Jeremy Clark continues to draw further down the order. Like a stone gets into it with Zach Hudson. They both go off at the top of the hill. Coming back on the track, it's a pile-up down at turn number 3. Escajeda's involved, Anderson's involved, and more. The rest of the field, though, clean down to the S's for the first time today.
It's just Road Atlanta being Road Atlanta. Finally a shunt at the S's. That was bound to happen. More on that in a second. But look at McGinnis. It seemed like he got a slow getaway at the start, but the way the car just got up to speed, that was outstanding. And he was able to get the big pass of Max Butler. Finally with the draft, maybe this could be the one for the lead now.
Anders Krohn will not be able to really fight this one, but look at this. McGinnis, oh my goodness, giving a bit of a bump there to Anders Krohn. Letting them know he's there. Never seen a Pro Mazda at the bump draft before, Sumil. I would say that's not necessarily a wise maneuver. That opened up the door for Max Butler to try to throw one down the inside. He bobbles off the corner exit, allowing Jackson Ball to close in.
Really was, and look at how much time they've lost. I think barely around a tenth of a second or something like that, but still that's a huge margin. And look at Krohn, look at how much Krohn has gained from all the fighting going on in the back right there. If Jackson Ball and Butler really start to apply pressure on McGinnis, Krohn could be running away with this.
Still a tight fight up here for the race lead. Anders Krohn leads the first lap of what he hopes to be many. They're battling big time as well for spots just below the top 10. Jeremy Clark with major damage on his front wing, trying to keep Kurt Penzager at bay. They were side by side through the last corner, down the front stretch, through turn 1, and after up the first part of the SS. Shockingly, Clark, with almost no front wing, is keeping Penzager at bay. Up in front, Nicholas Leo gonna make a pass on Wade Michael.
I think Clark right now is just fighting on fumes in this case with his car. He's got barely anything to offer, but Pansegro still can't get past, which is even more stunning considering that Road Atlanta has a ton of space for you to get past. So that is turning out to be outstanding. With this battle at the back right there, Nolan, it's still turning out to be fun. Still side by side heading into the chicane here.
Michael takes the spot back through turn 10A. Nicholas Leo trying to cut back on the exit of turn 10B. No dice though for Nicholas Leo. He'll have to tuck back in line and try to get a run on it again. Out of the final corner, is Leo brave enough to look down at the turn number 1? That's going to be a big ticket question at the moment for the 69 machine. He decides against it, allows Wade Michael to take the spot down to the turn number 1. And we'll keep that line up through 2 and through the right-hand kink of 3. Side by side for the lead as well as McGinnis makes the spot up in the SS.
That is risky. McGinnis is getting it done in the weirdest spot on the circuit at the SS. Now talk about making a risky move right there. And Krohn, all of a sudden, who seemed untouchable, is under pressure from one Butler. This right here is just a stunning performance from McGinnis so far. But again, it's a long one. Anyone could still come back into this.
It was helped out by the fact that Anders Krohn had a bit of an off to the middle part of that section here. That really is going to help him out. Max Butler cutting over to the right side. Anders Krohn going to cover him off with Jackson Ball with a huge NST now. Trying to come up the left side. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 10. Don't think it will be, but Jackson Ball down the inside, late braking on Anders Krohn. Gets the spot secure. So Anders Krohn goes from leading this race from pole down to 3rd in just 1 lap.
Well, Jackson Ball, if you don't see an opportunity, you don't get one. But Ball has gone out there and he's made his chance and he's made it stick. Look at Krohn though on the inside at turn 1. That is mighty close.
And who says 12-car fields aren't exciting to watch? I mean, look at this race. This is like a 3-car field here, and we're getting some great racing.
This is just turning out to be crazy. I just loved how Jackson Ball created that chance right there. He knew that the others won't be making up that chance, but he just got right there, made his space and dived down the inside, got 2 in a row, but he's lost one of those. Look at this between Leo and Michael right now, though.
Looks as though Nicholas Leo is going to tuck back in line. He will not be close enough to have a realistic look. Here's the look back at how Anders Krohn lost lead. There you saw McGinnis going through. That was just after Anders Krohn had rejoined onto the track after going off just 1 corner earlier. You can see a lot of these drivers doing the IndyCar snake all the way down the back straightaway. Wade Michael thought about making a move on Nicholas Leo. Leo secures the pass in the run down to turn 10. Michael is not close enough to try to go back at him.
Indeed, he isn't, and it's all about lining up that move right now, being close enough on the S's so that you can get back there and potentially do something on the backstretch. Krohn can't do that, though. McGinnis has literally taken the ball and he's running away with it.
Max Butler and Jackson Ball looking to tango down in 3rd place at the moment. This is allowing Anders Krohn to slowly pull away and try to run down. Robert McGinnis for the race lead up in front. I tell you what, this top 6 grouping here, they have been doing a phenomenal job at putting on some great racing but keeping it clean at the exact same time. Everybody else further down in the field having to do some carnage here with Zach Hudson on lap number 1. And there you saw one of those drivers get spun around. That took out Dave Anderson and Moores. They all went hard into the wall.
I mean, it's just Road Atlanta, right? Someone's got to come together at the S's. It won't be a race at Road Atlanta without something quite like this one. It's just the quality of the field involved, though, that makes it a bit baffling. I'm sorry about that. But just look at the gaps. Look at how much it's opened up. But still, we are seeing these packs form up. And everywhere across the grid, we are seeing a couple of cars here and there fighting for that one position and bringing their A game to it.
Max Butler losing out on the spot to Jackson Ball as Ball is going to hang on to 3rd in the run down towards turn 10. The unfortunate thing about that first lap incident, Matthew Escajeda, defending champion, was caught in the middle of that, and you can see on the left side of the timing screens, now trapped 1 lap down. So not the way Escajeda at all wanted to start off his season here in his effort to try to see if he can maintain a championship position.
And it's so hard to imagine, right? Going a lap down in a road course race, but stuff like that happens when you get involved in a crash like that. And for Escajeda, I think it's just a combination of the car and the standing start. The standing start, of course, in a way that he got, of course, caught out at the S's, but the car, we've not quite seen the same amount of confidence from him in that machine, but we are seeing some confidence from Krohn, though.
Robert McGinnis went off in the SS in the same place that Anders Krohn did, had to give the spot up in order to serve a slowdown penalty. That checks up Jackson Ball and Max Butler in the run through turn 8, and will leave Max Butler and Jackson Ball to try to run down McGinnis all the way down the very long back straightaway, weaving to the left, weaving back to the right, then back to the left. Ball's gonna go for around the right side. Gonna have to take this one the long way around to the entry into the turn 10 chicane. Max Butler closing rapidly in, just in behind, is not having the space to make it 3 wide. Tries to go through as well, but McGinnis covers him off.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome, and just look at how the tide turns for McGinnis right now. Within a lap, he's back down to P number 3, much like Krohn was a few minutes ago. This is crazy. McGinnis will not stop trying, though. He will constantly go out there. He will constantly keep on being at the nose of Ball, but now he's got to contend with Butler for this instance.
Oh, but Max Butler runs a bit too wide out through turn 4. That costs him some more time after Robert McGinnis. Thankfully, though, didn't go so deep that he'll have to serve a slowdown penalty. He'll get away with that one, but only just.
Only just, indeed, but the slowdowns aren't really helping anyone right now, right? At Road Atlanta, I'm sorry, there's barely any room for that. Once you lose your momentum, it's so hard to get back onto that, especially if you have it at a corner like this one, just on the run down to the backstretch. So much of time that can be potentially lost, and such a big battle that could be lost as well at the same time.
Even up in front with the second gap, you can see Anders Krohn trying to weave left and right, trying to break the draft from Jackson Ball. He knows that Ball will be able to close it if he doesn't do this, and he's trying to keep him at bay no matter the cost. And all of this is allowing a lot of the drivers behind to close on up. And you saw how much Max Butler reeled in Robert McGinnis there. Clearly, the number 9 car a lot more confident at the moment on the brakes than McGinnis is.
Yeah, exactly. But Butler isn't quite able to make it down, though. For some reason or the other, he's not quite able to make up the opportunities that way. Look at him, though. Look at them. They're trying. McGinnis is just not waiting at all. He is so impatient, and I love it.
Take a look at this from 2 different angles here. You got Jackson Ball's gearbox camera on the left side of your screen, and you've got Max Butler's shoulder camera over on the right side of the screen. Both angles showing it really actually kind of demonstrated perfectly how close this grouping is. Oh, all 3 drivers are a bit wide over the turn 5 curves. It's a risky place to be. More than once, I have seen cars, and I have been the victim myself of those curves by going just a bit too wide. That car bounces the wrong way over them. You may as well be sent to the shadow realm.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reminder of the curves. They're there for a reason, right? To make sure that you stay within the limits. And it's such a hard lesson to learn when you're going over them, and all of a sudden your race could be done in a matter of seconds. Good to see the discipline, though. Good to see the drivers constantly be under the track limits and constantly try to make their way past cleanly. I guess that's the real world racing experience that comes in handy, right?
Once again, McGinnis backs off a little bit more on Jackson Ball. Going to get a huge head of steam to overturn 11. Looks to the inside for the flat-out right-hander of turn number 12. Cuts across and then cross their finish. Jackson Ball trying to go for the over-under for turn 1.
That is ridiculously good. Ball tried. Ball could not make it work again, though. McGinnis is defending. My word, is he on a mission here today?
Trying to run down Anders Krohn. Jackson Ball was not getting the job done. So McGinnis said, all right, you know what? Let me have a shot at it. I can probably run him down. I was right on him earlier in this race, and he wants to see if he can take another crack at it. That leaves Max Butler and Jackson Ball able to duke it out behind for 3rd.
I don't think it's going to be that way for long, though. I think Ball and Butler can still close up. McGinnis, of course, he looks confident, but constantly we've seen this pack getting close up together. Look at this. McGinnis just trying hard, and this is amazing, right? Just opening up the space. The defending from Ball was hard, but it did not work with McGinnis. That was crazy.
Amazing stuff that we're seeing in a season opener race. I mean, usually people take these races a little calmer, get themselves situated. That's not the case here with these guys. They want to go. Butler looks for the inside this time. Has to, oh my word, can't even describe what we just saw. Had to bail out of the corner. You saw him jerk that wheel hard right in an effort to keep that thing pointed in the right direction. Cat-like reflexes for Butler, showing off his skill as a racing driver. No doubt getting those skills from the real world and able to make this pass finally down the inside of Jackson Ball. Maybe not for long, though. Ball trying to come back at him.
Last, it feels like ages since Butler has actually moved up from P number 4 at last, and he's made an error all of a sudden. This could be the chance for Ball, you know. He's lost, what, 1/10 of a second? No, he hasn't even with that error, so must be something with Ball as well.
Target fixation for Jackson Ball. Pretty much did the exact same thing Max Butler did, just getting a bit too fixated up on what was going on in front of him. And all of this has allowed Robert McGinnis to start to pull a little bit more of a gap, which is great news for the 80 car, because he's now going to be totally clear to run down Anders Krohn.
Totally clear indeed, but what kind of a battle will that be? Krohn versus McGinnis. We saw a hint of that early on in the race right here, but seriously, they're defending, they're attacking. I think it's going to be at a different level altogether. If, of course, McGinnis can catch up, because he isn't seemingly doing that to the pace that we normally hoped he would.
Well, now that things for the first time all race long have finally died down, let's take a quick rest here. We'll give another shout out here to some of the guys that, you know, helped the Real Racing Virtual Club to put on the amazing show that we're seeing here today. And we'll start things off with the title sponsor for this season, Liberty Group LLC. They, of course, are believers that everybody should be able to live the retirement that they have always wanted. And their team of professionals can help you create a well thought out strategy using a variety of investments and insurance products and services to help you address your financial needs and any concerns that may come with them. Also want to give a shout out to the Stephen Wilson Racing Academy, headed up by one of the racers in this series himself. The Stephen Wilson Racing Academy exists to assist clients on their motorsport journey. SWOR utilizes 20 plus years in the sport with advanced coaching techniques, track and car knowledge, and widespread international industry connections to help clients progress to any level imaginable. Whether the client is new to driving on the track or an experienced amateur racer, they help their clients to develop driving skills that enable them to climb through the Ferrari Challenge ranks, as David Anderson can attest to, as well as win races in Ferrari Challenge. Again, look to Dave Anderson, advanced to compete in Pro-Am racing, and one day possibly iconic races such as the Daytona 24-hour or the Le Mans 24 hours. One last sponsor to give a shout out to, Mera Partners. They're a high-end boutique car dealership specializing in Porsche and Ferrari. With an extensive network of private clients, Mera curates rare and exotic cars for the purpose of buying, selling, and creating investment portfolios. The focus of Merit is to build long-term relationships over time, choosing to have a narrower focus and going deeper with clients. Additionally, Merit offers a wide range of peripheral services for clients, including car storage, detailing, specialty parts, and paint protection film. The battle for the race lead rages on, and I tell you what, it's been a good run out there for a lot of drivers out there. And we talk about Devin Wilson Racing Academy helping drivers. Take a look at Jeremy Clark. Now, this is a guy you might not know with him running in 10th place, but recent race winner, maybe not in the virtual club, but in the real world, won 2 races in the Copa Shell division at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the North American Ferrari Challenge. So you got a couple of guys here that would definitely like to attest to the abilities of Swore there to help them out.
Yeah, exactly. And Clark, of course, a driver with pedigree. We recently saw him do so well, and there's an off right there. That is some real-world experience coming into play and letting him keep the car on track. That was a bit crazy. You can see the skill already. You can see how much he loves to push it. And imagine, right? Imagine the kind of achievement for all the other drivers beating him. We've recently ended up beating a recent Ferrari Challenge winner, is what they can say. And that means a lot.
I want to point out, it wasn't just a race win for both races, but back-to-back pole positions as well for Jeremy Clark. He's a driver who clearly knows what he's doing behind the wheels of a Ferrari Challenge machine, and no doubt he'll be looking forward to maybe repeat that in the next round. Of course, it's a fairly competitive series, and I took a look at those races myself. They're good excitement as well. Oh, but still struggling a little bit for Clark. Got to keep this Pro Mazda under a handle. I'll tell you what, these cars are fun, but they do not handle it all like one of those Ferrari Challenge machines.
Exactly. If you just let them go, if you let them slip, this car can really bite you. But that's the thing, right? All the drivers so far have been so good in maintaining the car and keeping it back on the circuit. I think it's just amazing to see how they're pushing so hard and still keeping that discipline all the way in.
There you can see Jeremy Clark taking victory with the double checkered flags, the very infamous double checkered flags that are a statement of Indianapolis Motor Speedway in that nice blue Ferrari machine. There's a look at him going around the track. I believe that is actually just around the section. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Sunil. That's just before they come back onto the oval, yes?
That is indeed, yes. That's exactly that part, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. There's something happened to him, though. Maybe he's losing momentum. Was that a slow
We're giving him the
down
commentator's curse.
Exactly. Here we are, then. Had to happen at some point, didn't it?
I was hoping it would happen in the first race. I mean, the guy just won 2 poles and back-to-back wins, and we immediately jinx him, speaking of the devil, with a spin from Jeremy Clark. But there you can see him, a very happy man up there on the podium. No doubt he'll be up there again very, very soon. Has the potential to get it done. A very talented driver behind the wheel of a Ferrari machine. And he'll be definitely trying to do his absolute best to work his way up there. It hasn't gone his way. You can see all the damage on the front end. That was done in the lap 1 melee he was collected in. Never know, though. There's always next week.
There's always next week, and what can you do about it? What can you do when you're a part of the lap 1 melee? You can just go out there and try your best to make sure that you're up there and in line with the competition. And Michael and Leo have done just that. They've just been pushing so hard. And Wade Michael, I think so far, he still hasn't been passed by Leo for as long as I can remember in a way. Both these bumblebees are putting up quite a show for P5.
You say bumblebees. I was just about to say that, you know, these cars, they definitely don't have a bit more of a buzz to them, don't they, than the Adora Formula 3 cars, which are more of a high-pitched whine, like a wasp. These are more like a buzzing bee, and I kind of like it in all honesty. It's a sound I haven't been able to hear a lot recently, and I definitely like the sound of it.
Exactly, right? It just inspires you, gets you a bit enraged in a way. Like, oh, come on, I'm a fighter. That's the kind of feeling the car gets you. And of course, that is exactly what the Pro Mazda is all about. You go out there and you just have fun and have ton of fights. Well, speaking of fighting, speaking of gaps, McGuinness has closed it down quite a fair bit. I think over the last couple of minutes while we were talking about Jeremy Clark, he's cut down around 0.5 of a second, or half a second basically, onto him. And it's not just him. Even Butler has joined the party, you know?
It was down to as low as 0.4 from McGuinness. He probably would have made that pass by now had he not had an off down at turn number 3 a few laps ago that put him down. Oh, and another big off for him. Coming onto the back straightaway is going to cost him even more time, and now put us side by side with Max Butler. Now, Butler still has a bit of drive from Anders Krohn. Robert McGuinness gave me a bit of a heart attack there. Thought he was about to clean out the number 9 machine, but tucking in line and no doubt trying to get a run on him and give him a bit of a nudge into turn 10. Too deep on the brakes, made for Butler. Holy cow, the closing speed.
Oh my word, that was just wild. That was absolutely amazing. And Butler, he's finally got the man who's on the momentum. This is a big pass. McGuinness was constantly just chipping away on Krohn's gap, and Butler has only gone out there and passed him. Outstanding.
The bump and run, and I commentate for stock car races as well, right, Sumo? So I'm very familiar with the bump and run tactic. It's not a tactic that's meant to be used in open wheel cars. I'm going to say that once. Stock cars, yes. Pro Mazdas, no. I don't know. Not only has that worked that time, but it worked the first time as well with the same 2 drivers earlier in the race. It's astounding the kind of things these guys can put each other through with the skills. I can almost guarantee you any other driver on iRacing probably would not be able to hold on to it as well as Max Butler did. Not only slow that car down, but actually gain time because of it.
You've only got to see to believe it, right? And we have...
Some technical difficulties there for Sumo Aurora. Hopefully we'll get him back shortly there. Max Butler closing the gap big time up to Anders Krohn. After turn 10B, up and over the hill. Can Butler get the run maybe through 12 and a cross start finish? Maybe look for the lead in turn number 1. Under 5 minutes remaining. Estimated 3 laps go on the clock. Krohn goes defensive. Butler trying to take this one round the outside of turn 1. Look at McGuinness closing in as they run up towards the SS.
This fighting is just opening the gaps up. Butler trying for something at the SS. That was risky. And Ball says hello as well in the background. Butler trying again on the outside.
Gonna try it again, but no room for Ball to work with, especially down to the S. It's a very one-line section of the racetrack, no matter what car you're in, except maybe the Formula Vs. Max Butler looking a bit antsy down in the turn 6. Allows Anders Krohn the space, though, through turn 7. Oh, step in the back end now from Max Butler. Gonna get a power slide going to the number 9 machine. Hangs on to it. Now, if I'm Robert McGuinness, I stay behind Max Butler. Let him pull me up to Anders Krohn and make it 3 wide with a bonsai send into turn 10. It looks like he's almost trying to bump draft him for a 3rd time in the run down the back straightaway. Butler's going to have to take this one the long way around turn 10 with Anders Krohn going defensive. The 47 car just barely hangs on lead for now. Will Jackson Balsamo finds way up in a 3rd. Here's McGuinness trying to go back to 3rd.
This is amazing! And McGuinness has got it back in. All of a sudden, Krohn has an even bigger gap. He might be the most comfortable person right now because the gaps have just opened up a little bit. And McGuinness is one who's going to try. I think he's got the most raw pace of everyone in this pack. If anyone can get Krohn, I think he's going to be the one.
Oh, and look out! Butler goes off! McGuinness runs over the gearbox and then clips him as well! Butler somehow saves him! McGuinness saves it as well with damage on the left front. Jackson Ball somehow escapes from that unscathed. And just like that, Anders Krohn has 1.7 seconds to work with 2 minutes to go.
That is amazing. Krohn will be the happiest person in all of Road Atlanta right now. From a second, it felt like Krohn would be the one attacked and he would be the one losing the lead. Here we are then. We're just seeing a battle between Butler and McGuinness. And my word, I'm so excited to see this. Again, McGuinness trying. Is he going to use that same tactic again now? Oh, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky, isn't it? again. McGinnis not able to get past. Butler holding on to it so well. And that's been the key thing for him so far. Butler has been resolute in the defense. McGinnis has tried and tried again. He's trying to open up pockets, open up gaps. But it's just been amazing. Butler and this defense has been outstanding. And even still, Butler has done it both. He's gone on the attacking front as well and the defending too. On the whole, this just has to be a tremendous drive by him.
Potentially final lap now of the race. Anders Krone with 1.5 seconds up clear of Max Butler, with Robert McGinnis trying to run down Butler for second place. The gap is kind of spaced apart. Robert McGinnis with that front damage, no doubt struggling big time in the number 80 machine. Out through turn 6 and then turn 7. Anders Krone is well and truly clear. Matthias Gajeda off the road just in front. So is Max Butler. Giving the gap to Robert McGinnis, going to poke around and make a run to the number 9 car. All the way down the back straightaway. Can Jackson Ball potentially try to go for a podium just in behind the top 2? Drag racing it out towards the final chicane for what may be the final time today. McGinnis goes up. Butler trying to come back on him. Makes contact, and it finally has happened. McGinnis goes round. Max Butler is through. Jackson Butler picks up position number 3. Anders Krone out of the final corner wins the season opener from Road Atlanta. Butler second, Ball in third. And unfortunately for Robert McGinnis, still having struggles, spins out again from the final corner. Disaster for Robert McGinnis, the P2 starter at the end of the day. Gonna have to settle for 7th place.
Oh, come on. McGinnis deserved so much more, but then again, that's what hard racing gets you at the very end. Sometimes you just tip over and it all spills out. But my word, what a performance from McGinnis. So whatever happens, what a performance that was. But Butler, eventually the one sealing second place. Look, got right there. Oh, come on. Frustrating. Really it is.
Honestly, with how they're racing, it was an inevitability. And there you can see that was the battle for 5th and 6th before that. Nicholas Leo going around the outside, and Wade Michael immediately cutting back the inside of turn 11. And unfortunately, McGinnis with suspension damage got too loose and just lost the back end out through turn number 12 and had to sacrifice spots up to Matthias Gajeda, who thankfully was a lap down, but Joe Butler as well. And that will take us now to your official post-race results. Anders Krone, your winner, but that 2.4 second gap really does not do justice how intense of a fight it was for him right up to the last lap. Max Butler in second place with Jackson Ball in third. Nicholas Leo in fourth with Wayne Michael battling out for 5th place. Joe Butler in 6th with Robert McGinnis dropping back from 2nd place to 7th in one corner. Zach Hudson in 8th with Kurt Penzager in 9th. Jeffrey Clark is in 10th with Dave Anderson and Matthew Escajeda rounding out the 12-car field on the night. Oh my gosh. I'm honestly at a bit of a loss of words. What an opener.
What an opener. What a close to the opener as well. Just the worst possible way to finish, but whatever. What a fight that was towards the very end. A quick replay from Jackson Ball showing the moment where it all got a bit too loose. And this, how did they not kill each other at this moment, Lonan? I'm still amazed. Of course, it happened at the end, but my word, was this amazing.
The fact that they even lasted that long, though, is admirable in and of itself. I mean, absolutely insane stuff. But this is all in the span of just one lap for this grouping here. And you can see, Max Butler really struggling here, trying to fend off, Anders Krone. Check that. He was trying to fend him off at every point possible, Robert McGinnis. I mean, McGinnis, he was determined, though. He wanted to take that spot. The mistake for McGinnis, honestly, I think came when he tried to cut back across. Because at that point, Max Butler had really nowhere he could go into the braking zone.
It was just never going to work that way. It was just a bit too risky down at that particular corner. They were meant to tangle, and the point that you mentioned, Nolan, is absolutely spot on. The fact they lasted, even through incidents like this one, is quite outstanding. But for Krone, right, it just opened up such a big gap, and you're spot on with that. I don't think the pace difference really was that much between all the drivers. Just circumstances is eventually what gave him the win. Not that he bottled it any which ways. He was just amazing controlling it at the top as well.
That was another look, this time from the outside as to the incident up in front. We'll take a ride on board as Robin McGinnis here. Max Butler up in front. You see Butler go off there through turn 3, comes back on. That scares McGinnis into running over the back of him. Has zone off through 4, then clips Max Butler just there. And in real life, that would have given your right rear a puncture. You wouldn't be going fully into the tire barriers. Not on iRacing, though. Yeah. I think Max Butler can thank his lucky stars for that one.
Exactly. I think that's when the real world experience sort of takes a little bit of a backseat in that case. It's just your adrenaline that comes up and lets you save that. And thank goodness for iRacing letting you do that. Otherwise, a good battle would have been robbed. But my word, Krone, what a driver. What composure is what I can say.
And that will bring up our race winner on the night. Anders Krone joins in the commentary booth. Anders, you won by 2.5 seconds, but that's not really a comparable time with how close it was for you all the way down to the wire.
Oh my gosh, that was I was just telling these guys in the in our race chat Discord here, you know, that was one of the most stressful races I've done because the draft is so massive in these cars on this track. So I was just constantly trying to break the draft, and I lucked out a little bit with them kind of starting to battle it out, but anytime the gap was less than a second, you're just a sitting duck. So I was doing everything I could. So yeah, what an epic season opener though. That was great.
It was certainly fun for us to watch, but I mean, you take a look forward. Obviously, you were not necessarily a title contender coming in late last season. With this great opener, you think you could go for a title maybe this season over Escajeda?
Possibly. I'm hopeful that I can make all the races this year. So hopefully that changes things around. But no, that was so much good fun, and Dave and Rick do such a good job of putting on these races. So no, it's just phenomenal to be here, and first race of the season, and it felt like a barn burner, so it was good.
What do you think, honestly, some of the aspects of Road Atlanta are that made this track so good? Obviously, dirty air, big factor in that first sector, but what do you think kind of helps it out to make this race as good as it was?
To be honest with you, I mean, if you compare this to the F3 package, it's mainly the cars. Because I mean, with the F3 cars around here, it's so difficult to follow because you pick up so much dirty air, and the draft is nowhere near as big as it is in these Pro Mazda cars. So I think it's more just the fact that the cars punch a massive hole in the air, so the draft is so massive, and then you have that straightaway that's about a mile long. So the combination of the two just makes for some incredible racing. So while out in front, it would be nice to be in the F3 car because it's a bit easier to stay in front, but certainly I think from a show perspective, this is absolutely the right package.
Well, then here's the hoping that you'll be able to come on out and pick up another win in just 1 week's time. Thank you, Anders, for taking the time up to join us, and best of luck going forward through the rest of the season.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much.
So that was race winner Anders Krone, but not by much. We're going to see if maybe in a few moments here we can bring up Max Butler to come over and give us a chat. And in fact, here is Max Butler. And Sumo, you're standing by with our P2 finisher.
Max, that was just wild. Can you just talk us through what happened right there at the very end? Because things really got nervous. Great defending all the way through the race, mate.
Oh man, I feel kind of bad. I just watched the replay of it, and he kind of surprised me when he cut in front, because we are obviously all kind of working together most of the time to catch Anders out front. But when he cut across, it caught me off guard. So when I tried to avoid under braking, I was trying to avoid Jackson as well. That was on my right, and so I just clipped him that little bit, and I kind of just swallowed my tongue and just kind of finished the race without saying anything. But overall, it was super close, and we were all running good laps, so very happy about the finish.
Max, just how did you keep your nerves in that battle? Because all the way through, it looked like you were a lot more comfortable with the car when you were battling it all the way through in that battle. This really got a bit nervy at many times. So how did you keep your cool and get that finish towards the very end?
The thing the broadcast doesn't see is that we're all on a Discord together, and there's not a lot of talking, but the three, me, Jackson, and Rob, were constantly talking, just saying like, okay, let's work together, let's keep it clean, and let's go. And obviously when somebody would make a mistake, we'd be like, okay, you've had your time in the sun, let's get back in line. So we would kind of pass each other. Right. It wasn't until the very end where it was like, okay, we're gunning for each other's throats here. So I just knew that I was going to play it safe, run clean laps, and try to stay in the lead, at least at the front of the race, to at least have a shot at a win. But happy with P2.
And Max, what was that one moment where you were like, okay, now let's stop talking. This is all getting serious right now. When all of a sudden you sit upright in your chair, like in gaming.
I'm actually laying back in a Formula cockpit, so if I sat up, that'd be a terrible time. But it was about the time where I noticed Jackson's tires were falling off, and I think Rob had passed it at that point, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to sit back. I know Jackson's going to fall back in the pack, so I need to really put it in gear here and try to make a move so I can keep with Rob, because I knew he was going to track him down, and he did. So I was just like, okay, here we go. I forget where I sent it, but it was definitely a clincher whenever I did. These cars are just so close. The draft here is nuts.
Oh, what a mad one. Amazing to speak to you, Max. What a pleasure. And we shall see you for the next round. This was just tremendous stuff, mate.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So that was our second place finisher, Max Butler, coming on up to give us a bit of a chat out of P number 2. In just a moment here, we'll pull up Jackson Ball and we'll give your P3 finisher a bit of a chat. Jackson, you were kind of sitting around in fourth place for most of that. Watched the battle rage on in front of you. What was your strategy throughout all of that?
Yeah, no, and I just took the race with a lot of caution, especially the second to last lap there. Max and Rob were tangling up a little bit, and I thought it was all going to unfold in front of me. But just sat back and kind of ran with that pack. We were obviously drafting all over the place, and just kind of waited for the opportunity, and the opportunity came.
I think the opportunity coming around for you is a bit of an understatement. We take a look, though, at the car. I mean, the last year we were here was with the F3s, and this race, even with less cars, was still more exciting. What do you think is it about this car that makes it so exciting? And do you prefer this, or do you still like the F3 more?
Well, I can report that the guys in the chat are ecstatic about this car. I think the thing about this car is it makes it a thinking man's game. Because you have to play that draft, sometimes it isn't a good thing to pass. I passed early and I paid for it because I got railroaded later. So there's kind of a new element of strategy there that wasn't always there with the F3 car due to the complicated aero.
We look forward to the course of the season. A good finish for you down in third place. Do you reckon this means only good things for the rest of your championship potentially going forward?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with myself. We've been kind of running together, all the guys, in the run-up to the season, and I think this bodes well. I think the car will bring the field together, and we'll get a lot better racing like you saw this evening.
Things to certainly look forward to then, hopefully. Thank you, Jackson, for taking the time to come on up here and join us on this beautiful Tuesday night. Congratulations on third place finish. Best of luck going forward.
Thanks, Nolan.
That was a P3 finisher there, Jackson Ball. That is not, however, the end of the night. We are going to see if we can pull up not just Nicholas Leo Soulmill, who was in that battle with Wade Michael all the way through to the end of this race, but potentially Robert McGinnis as well. Here's the hope, and I would certainly like to see if we could talk to McGinnis. If possible, it'd be a thrill to get his point of view on everything that's happened.
Yeah, no, genuinely. But both of them, of course, involved in such crazy battles. Especially Leo, right? He was involved in such a big one with Michael. But at the end, getting a few positions as a major gift towards the end. And I just want to know the thought and the perspective, of course, of all the drivers who were seeing that accident unfold in front of them, and they were the ones who just swooped right in and got it. It must have been such a relaxing feeling that, right, we've been battling all along, and now all of a sudden we get elevated up.
Well, it doesn't sound like we'll be able to get a chat with either Nicholas Leo or Robert McGinnis, both drivers, eager to no doubt get some rest after the course of the night. As I understand, though, Joe Butler and David Anderson are two drivers that are going to be trying to come on over and give us a chat. And we'll swing this over to Joe Butler first. So why don't you talk with our P6 finisher?
Well,
Absolutely.
I got lucky on P6. I don't know about congratulating me on it.
Now that was a bit crazy right there, wasn't it, Joe, towards the end after seeing all the accidents? What was going on through your mind when that happened? Must have been a bit of a satisfying one, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was satisfying to get through the wreckage. We were just chatting amongst ourselves. I was just happy to not collect any damage there at the beginning. That's all I can really ask for. I just wanted to run a clean race.
That's a good one. And on the other parts of the race as well, was lap one a bit messy for you as well? Because the pace, of course, seemed to be a bit different in relation to all the other drivers at the top.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm a little bit slower. I just wanted to run safe, not push it, because I knew that maybe something was going to happen later in the race with all those guys running so close together, and I was going to benefit from that. So I was just slowing my pace down and being consistent when I could.
I think that was the strategy that worked out in the end, didn't it? I mean, slow and steady, and eventually you got quite a decent P6 on the whole to start of the season.
Yep, I'll take P6 all day.
Quite a good one. And what do you reckon about the other rounds of the season? Are you going to be here for the whole one? And which one excites you the most on the calendar? With, of course, Red Bull Ring coming in as well.
Well, I'm actually pretty awful at Red Bull Ring. I'm not looking forward to that one. I'm going to have to put in a lot of laps there to be up to pace. There's only a couple races that I'm going to miss, maybe in September. But I'm looking forward to... Is Road America on this schedule? If it is, that's the one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, indeed. Should be a ton of fun. Well, Joe, finally, your closing thoughts on this race, and what do you expect for the next round coming in?
Oh, I expect everybody to be clean and consistent.
It's Lime Rock. It's hard to do that over there.
Oh my gosh, I know. We've been practicing amongst ourselves in preparation, so I think we're gonna do okay. But we're just gonna have to get through turn 1 first.
Exactly. No, it's going to be crazy with all the standing starts, but all the best, mate. Good stuff. Nice speaking to you.
Thank you.
So that was Joe Butler coming home in a 6th place finish, and that'll bring up the last driver waiting to give us a little bit of a chat here at the end of the day. Dave Anderson joins us up here in the broadcast booth. Dave, what a run throughout the season opener. Not the best for you, but overall, I would say switch to the Pro Mazda is definitely a wise choice.
Oh, it's a great car, and everybody I think is seeing why that it creates really good competition, and a little squirreliness doesn't take you into the wall, and I think you saw that up front. There are a lot of good battles. Yeah, unfortunately, I got taken out in the first lap and had to limp into the pits, and then got to about the only thing I could do is keep ahead of Matthew. So. It was a great race, though. I mean, you had guys fighting for position all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, a lot of close stuff. Great seat. Robert put down best lap of the day. Everybody driving well, and it's a fantastic car. And this was a really drafty track, and I'm sure you probably hear it from all the other drivers, and maybe you already did. But I think we're going to have a whole lot of this season. It's going to be really close.
I would like to kind of touch a little bit on your own real racing experience. Of course, congratulations, by the way, on the double win / pole positions over at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Ferrari Challenge. Was some of that experience potentially helping you out here tonight to keep this thing in the race as we got towards the end of this thing?
Well, I would love to say that was me. You're talking about my other friend, good Jeremy Clark. So Jeremy was the one who won the 2 races at Indianapolis in the Ferrari Challenge, and took 2 pole positions. So I'm sure that helped him, but it certainly didn't help me. I wasn't able to catch him at the end of the race. But it is an interesting one. He said coming off that double win, he felt a little pressure to do well in this race, but I think he also got caught up at the beginning of the race in a little spin. So had to play a little catch up. But I think at least here a crash is a little less expensive than in the Ferrari Challenge. That was that weekend up at Indianapolis. There were a few incidents that caused some people some damage. So good to be on the sim.
We look forward to Lime Rock Park, of course, a much tighter track than Road Atlanta. No doubt one that'll make passing a little bit more difficult. But in the Pro Mazdas, how do you think that race might play out for us?
Wow, it's going to be interesting. The one sort of nemesis to everybody is the twisties on the back, and that little chicane can make or break you. And I think that's going to be where people are going to be able to take advantage of mistakes. And if you can do that and power up the hill and then back down the hill, that's really going to be the place to get it done. Certainly there'll probably be some good passes going into 1 and 2. So it's going to be a tough race. But in these Pro Mazdas, I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than the season we saw with the Formula 3s, that's a tough place to pass if someone's got a sticky line in the F3. So I think Lime Rock's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody likes it. It's it's a real flowy track, and this is a flowy car. So I think it's going to be a good one.
Bound to be a fun one indeed, just like the season opener was. Well, thank you, Dave, for coming on out and giving us a bit of a chat here at the end of the night. Good, as always, to have you up here in the booth, and we wish you a better race, hopefully, going forward into Lime Rock Park.
I'm sure it's got to be better than tonight, but either way, it's good. And I just want to give a shout out and a thanks to the fine people at Liberty Group and Dave Hollander for the sponsorship this year and the support of what we're doing out here. So, and thank you guys, Nolan. Appreciate it. Always RaceSpot doing such a great job. So we'll see you guys next week at Lime Rock.
We'll see you then. Well, that is going to be it then for the driver interviews on the night. Dave Anderson, always a pleasure to have him up here in the booth as always. Sumil, well, I tell you what, I mean, this is the first time you've been in the commentary booth. What's your first impression so far on the season as we move forward to Lime Rock Park?
Oh man, that was madness. This series is absolutely amazing. Yeah, so what if it is just a 12-car grid, I say? The racing, the battling, everything on here has been absolutely stunning so far. And well, Lime Rock next. This could be an even madder one than what we've seen so far.
It'll be an entertaining race for sure. The track is a lot tighter. It's a lot more flowing, I guess you could say, but not a lot of passing opportunities. It'll be interesting to see how the draft will handle at that small little speedway. Well, that is going to be about all the time we're going to have for one day for Tuesday night action for the Real Races Virtual Club, brought to you by Liberty Group. We would like to thank everybody for coming on out to join us tonight. I'm Adola Rempel with Subil Aurora up in the commentary booth, and Hugo Louise down behind the cameras doing a fantastic job as always for tonight's race. Anders Krohn takes victory. What will he be able to make going forward? We'll find out next week at Lime Rock Park.